When it comes to the social elements of the political ideologies, the two main ones are conservatism and liberalism. While conservatism and liberalism in the United States are broad and diverse political and philosophical ideologies, it's important to recognize that there are no single set of ideals that both adhere to. However, there are some common principles and ideals that are often associated with American conservatism and American liberalism. And the thing is, both are unique to America and not the same in other countries. This Saturday, live at 8 p.m., we will be exploring the topic, Conservatism versus Liberalism. What's the difference? Or rather, how do they differ and how are they the same? Now, at 2 Hour for Life with Armel 771 and I, CZ Mommy 75, we talk about the firearm enthusiast lifestyle, how that extends beyond mere gun ownership, and on this channel, we explore different ideas and perspectives. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see and hear, and we'd also love to hear your thoughts on the matter. And please feel free to comment below and make sure you click that notification bell to be notified when new videos hit our channel. All right, now let's get into this topic. Now there's certain ideals that arguably conservatives believe, such as limited government. They generally advocate for small and more limited government, and they believe that the government's role should be limited to protecting individual rights, or rather, lately more specifically, the right to bear arms, and of course maintaining law and order and providing for the national defense. Another thing that liberals say that conservatives say that they believe is free market capitalism. And so they tend to support free market economic policies such as minimal government regulation, low taxes, and strong property rights. They believe that free market capitalism is the most efficient and effective way to create prosperity and economic growth. And of course, the traditional values. Many American conservatives hold traditional values and social norms in high regard. They often emphasize the importance of family, religious faith, and community as foundational to a stable and moral society. And nationalism. Now, nationalism is an important ideal for many American conservatives. They believe in a strong sense of national identity and sovereignty, often advocating for a robust national defense, secure borders, and a focus on American interests in foreign policy. Now let's get to fiscal responsibility. Now, conservatives generally believe the importance of fiscal responsibility and a balanced budget. Well, is that true anymore though? And the traditional conservatives, they're often critical of government spending and believe that the government should live within its means. Again, debatable based on current practices. All right, so let's go into rule of law. Conservatives support the rule of law and believe that the Constitution and the legal system should be respected and upheld. Again, this is debatable in regards to Roe versus Wade, except, and that's of course when it comes to political affiliations or interests, and even January 6th, right? And they're often critical of judicial activism and advocate for the strict interpretation of the Constitution. And of course, there's defense of traditional institutions. American conservatives often seek to defend and preserve traditional institutions such as family, marriage, and religious organizations, viewing them as essential to a stable and virtuous society. However, many find a way to somehow incorporate church into their ideology, and in fact, when pure conservative ideology is really the separation from church from state. Now, conservatives are typically cautious about rapid or radical societal change. They tend to have an opposition to it. So they prefer a gradual and incremental approach to reform and are often skeptical of social and political experiments that deviate from established norms and values. And of course, they're a strong defender of strong national defense. And they do believe in maintaining a very strong and well-funded military to protect national security and promote American interests abroad. Now, before I go into liberalism, there's one thing I must say. It is of note that both parties switch most of their ideologies based on their political interests over the course of several decades, right? And they tend to dib and dab to grab each other's target base. Okay, so let's talk about liberalism. Now, liberals place a strong emphasis on individual rights and liberties, including freedom of speech, religion, and assembly, and they often advocate for protections against discrimination and the rights of minority groups. And in regards to social justice, many American liberals are committed to achieving social justice and addressing inequalities in society, including economic, racial, and gender disparities. They support policies aimed at reducing poverty and increasing access to healthcare, education, and other basic necessities. But some may say this debatable, right? When actually America's Care Act, aka Obamacare, which is really Romney Care, that was repackaged. Okay, so let's talk about government intervention. Now, liberals often believe in a more active role for government in addressing societal issues. They support government regulation of industries, social safety nets, and various welfare programs to address the needs of the most vulnerable. And environmental protection. Environmentalism and climate change is strongly linked to liberals, and they advocate for environmental regulation and policies aimed at combating climate change and protecting natural resources. But some say, and some even argue, some conservatives do not believe in climate change. However, they are strong advocates for hunting, fishing, preserving a lot of the rights that they have in terms of maintaining the environment and some of the activities they do like to enjoy. And but of course, some will say that not only Republicans do hunt and fish, but also liberals. So again, it's up in the air in terms of who actually advocate for this. All right, so let's look at diversity and inclusion. The liberals tend to value diversity and inclusion, promoting policies that support equal opportunity and inclusion of all, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or other characteristics. And then there's healthcare access. Liberals often support policies aimed at expanding access to healthcare, just like Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, which again I mentioned was actually Romney Care, and also to ensure that more Americans have affordable and comprehensive health care coverage. Education. Liberals advocate for increased funding and accessibility in public education, from early childhood education to higher education. They view education as a means to reduce inequality and improve economic opportunity. And LGBTQ plus rights, right? Liberals have been at the forefront of advocating for the alphabet rights, including marriage equality and non-discrimination protections. Women's rights. Liberal ideals include support for women's rights, the right to choose, right? Including reproductive rights, of course, and equal pay for equal work. International cooperation. Liberals often favor diplomacy and international cooperation to address global challenges and conflicts, and they may support international organizations and treaties such as United Nations and international trade agreements. And of course, when it comes to criminal justice reform, many liberals support criminal justice reform, advocating for reducing mass incarceration, addressing racial disparities in the criminal justice system, and implementing alternatives to traditional punitive measures. And last but not least, immigration reform. Liberals often advocate for comprehensive immigration reform, including pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants and more humane immigration policies. Well, I'm done talking about conservative liberals separately, but let's talk about the fact that what it all boils down to, right, are positive and negative liberties. And both of these ideologies play on the concept of what positive and negative liberties mean to citizens of this country, and our complexities between balancing individual rights to balancing what is best for the overall societal good. If you look at individual versus collective liberties, negative liberties are primarily individual in nature, focusing on protection of individual autonomy and rights from external infringement, and they're about safeguarding individuals' freedom from external interference, right? And while positive liberties often have a collective or societal dimension, they emphasize the responsibility of the society and the government to ensure that all individuals have access to certain resources of opportunities. And both liberties are about empowering individuals collectively by addressing social and economic disparities. But again, what positive and negative liberties mean for both parties differ. For instance, for the liberals, it means the right to choose, and more, what they say is more pro-choice. And for conservatives, it is pro-life, right? And of course, in terms of what that means for positive and negative, in terms of what is best for the society. The same thing goes for even the right to bear arms. Both could say that the right to bear arms in individuals having the right to have firearms and stuff, and then the liberals could say then, okay, but having firearms actually causes more mass shootings. So are we infringing on individual rights, or what's best for societal good? And so what it means in terms of positive and negative and individualism and collectively the society as a whole differs for both parties. In practice, many legal and political rights encompass elements of both the negative and positive liberty, and the boundaries between two can be complex and subject to interpretation in different legal and political contexts. The debate over the balance between protecting negative and positive liberties often leads to discussions about the role of government in society and the trade-offs between individual freedom and societal well-being. But here's of note. Both sides are playing with trigger words such as conservatism and liberalism, and are also conflating socialist ideologies while exposing both concepts to stir strong emotions. And the real benefit of this are the corporations that fund both sides, like Coke Industries, Waltons from Walmart, etc. I mean, whatever fare they generate help fund their pockets, these corporation pockets. And maintaining social status quo and maintaining a social monarchy and power structure. I mean, materials such as paper, plastic, raw materials, chemicals, stone, concrete, gypsum, all this are byproducts are manufactured by these corporations that fund both parties equally, and whatever agenda suits them to stir up whatever they need to stir up in order to boost the prices and boost the sales and all that, right? So, folks, I mean, I could go on forever about this, but you know what? Come join us live 8 p.m. on this channel and Saturday, and we will share. I want you to share your thoughts on the matter, right? And talk about how all this basically is impacting us. And I know we each have our political thoughts about this, but let's come and have a really open discourse and to see, how we could find a middle ground and on our views and all this, and come together and have a real conversation. So, of course, if you like what's in here, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you all Saturday at 8 p.m. on this channel. All right, thanks. Bye. Take care of yourself.